final part of this workshop is about how to help your child. We're not going to go into great detail through this workshop that we've put online, as there will be lots of information to accompany it where you can look at videos and read about other ways to help your child at home. But there are some basic principles to follow. The first thing to do is to observe your child and try to read their signs. What state are they in? Are they understimulated, a bit like Eeyore? Are they seeking stimulation, bouncing off the walls, fiddling, touching, making noises, trying to get more feedback, a bit like Tigger? Or are they overstimulated? Are they anxious? Are they stressed? Are they trying to avoid and escape certain sensory stimulation? A bit like Piglet. It's important to remember that Piglet can present in more than one way. We get Piglet who is stressed, anxious, overstimulated, and acts that out there and then in front of us. They might have a meltdown. They might refuse to do things. They may flee, hide, run. They will demonstrate behaviour showing you that they're overstimulated and they can't cope. But sometimes Piglet can mask all of this. Piglet can look fine on the surface. Even if you ask Piglet, he might say he's fine. But underneath, there's a very overstimulated child who's holding it all in. Children often do this at school all day, and then you get the fallout when they come home. It's often worse in children with higher functioning autism and girls with autism as well. So try to work out what's going on with your child, and remember that they might be a Tigger one day and an Eeyore the next, or they might fluctuate between Piglet and Tigger. They won't necessarily stay the same from day to day. The next step is to think about your child's behaviour. What is it that you're observing, and why do you think they're doing it? Is their behaviour productive? Is it serving a purpose and helping them? If your child's chewing as they sit and concentrate on something, it might be that they just need to chew to give them that proprioceptive feedback to calm the brain, keep them in a calm, alert state, and focus on what they're doing. So actually, it is serving a purpose. And if it's acceptable, if they're chewing on a chewy tube or a piece of chewing gum or something that it's okay to chew, then allow them to keep chewing because it's helping them. If it's not acceptable because it's not safe, or within your family context what they're doing is not acceptable, then you need to change it and you need to provide an alternative. What you can't do is take away your child's chosen sensory stimulus and expect them to be able to manage without it. It's also worth considering whether your child's sensory behaviour is new, particularly in a lockdown time when things have changed, routines are different. Your child may have started some new sensory behaviours, and you might want to unpick why. You might not ever know why, but think through the same process. Is it productive? Does it help them? And is it acceptable? And when you've answered those questions, it should help you know whether you need to do anything about it or not. The context in which your child's sensory behaviour happens can help you to understand why they're doing what they're doing. So, are they always really anxious just before lunch because they're overwhelmed by the smells of the cooking, or they're worried about the sensory experience that meal is going to bring? Does their behaviour deteriorate towards the end of the day when they've been overwhelmed by the sensory experiences of what's gone on? And does it help to then use something like a den or time-out zones to help your child regulate and calm down and get some time away from the sensory exposure? Does your child's behaviour change in anticipation of a sensory experience, such as bath time, getting changed, meal times? Always consider the context around your child's behaviour and what the sensory implications are, which will help you try to unpick what's going on and start to think about how you can help. So the key points from these short little online workshops are that children with sensory processing difficulties all present very differently. Just like you will have different sensory preferences from your partner, your friends, your work colleagues, and your children. We all have our own sensory preferences, and we all respond differently to different sensory stimulation. But children need regular bursts of sensory-based activity to stay calm and alert throughout the day. And in some of the resources we're putting online, we'll show you how you can help them do that.